Next, we have Neal Myrick. He is the Director of Corporate Responsibility at Tableau. Extremely interesting title. I'm looking forward to hearing exactly what that entails. Welcome, Neal. Can you tell us a little bit what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. Tableau Foundation is an employee-led foundation.
Okay.
So my job is really to work with employees to come up with programs that connect employees' passion with opportunities to help nonprofits. And so we do that really in three ways. We have an employee service and giving program. And that's really our broadest program where employees can give donations to nonprofits and get them matched dollar for dollar.
Cool.
And then they can volunteer. And for example, if an employee volunteers for 2 hours at a food bank,
okay,
we'll send that food bank a matching check for $25.
Oh my gosh.
We do community grant making. So in cities where we have offices,
yep,
we form ad hoc teams of employees who get to know the community, and then we have a grant process where we then make grants to the community to support its vibrancy and safety and health.
Very cool. So you match dollar for dollar on
the
donations and for time
as
well.
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. And so you have offices all over the world, right?
We do. So we've actually been piloting the program this year. Next week we actually announce grants in Fremont, in Seattle, in Kirkland, Washington, and Austin, Texas.
Very, very cool. And what are some of the organizations that you're, it sounds like it's employee driven, the employees get to determine where it goes. What are some of the more popular organizations that folks donate to?
You know, typically it's been a variety. So our model is to actually donate broadly in the community, so we don't push a corporate agenda. So for example, we don't only support computers, or we don't only support data projects. So in Fremont and Seattle, for example, we supported a food bank, we supported a literacy organization, an education nonprofit, a local arts center, and the whole goal was to build a portfolio of grants that really support the community broadly and not just sort of one thing that we want to push on the community.
Very, very cool. And how long has this been a part of Tableau?
The foundation was formed in 2012. Okay. The founders have really always wanted to do it, and they just waited for the right time in the company history. I was hired in 2014. I'd been working at Tableau in another capacity and took this job in 2014, and that's really when we formed a volunteer work group of employees to help set the strategy of the foundation. And then we've been grant making ever since.
Very, very cool. And I know you're not the right guy maybe to answer this question, but do you guys use the products to sort of track your impact as well, the Tableau products?
We do, yeah.
Cool.
In various different ways. So for example, we just launched a free software program for small nonprofits.
Cool.
And that makes Tableau Desktop available to nonprofits with annual operating budgets of less than $5 million.
Wow.
And simultaneously, we launched a program called the Tableau Service Corps.
Okay.
Those are Tableau volunteers that are ready to help nonprofits when they get Tableau to actually get started with it and get immediate value out of it. And we launched them intentionally on purpose so that not only were we providing Tableau to nonprofits, but we were giving them an avenue to actually get started with it and get value out of it.
Very cool. So what are some of the things the Service Corps does? They, I'm sure, sit down and answer questions.
So we do, a lot of it's virtual because we help nonprofits all over the US, all over the world actually. And so we've just been piloting it. We've done 26 projects.
Cool.
And it's everything from structuring data to building dashboards, to training a nonprofit how to do a particular feature or function in Tableau. And the feedback that we've gotten from employees has been fantastic. They love doing it. They feel like they get a lot of professional development out of it. And then nonprofits have also been very positive. In fact, one nonprofit told us that she felt like she hit the lottery being able to get Tableau for free as well as help by somebody to help her use it.
Very cool, and I'm sure your software, especially the NFP program, has probably made big impacts for a lot of companies that, you know, these folks, the nonprofits are already stretched to the limits and and having trouble finding, you know, talented people, and unfortunately data, you know, scientists and folks who know data really well are some of the most in demand, so it's an extremely valuable service. Do you have a couple like use cases you can walk us through of some folks that have benefited from NFP or some groups?
Yeah, we have We do. I'll take one step back. So we do a lot of we do a lot of mission grants as well, which are big grants. So on the small nonprofit side, we had a volunteer help an organization in the UK develop their dashboard to measure some outcomes that they have.
Okay.
And that was a super successful project. The organization in the UK did a really nice case study on it, which then actually helps other nonprofits learn how to do that particular thing. On the mission grant side, we've invested about $6 million in software services training and financial support to fight issues around the world, such as malaria, Ebola, HIV, homelessness, hunger, and education. And there's a specific example I could give in West Africa that's really fun. We invested in an Ebola project in West Africa during the height of the Ebola crisis, partnering with a company in Massachusetts that creates a mobile app to collect health data. And then they collected the health data and put it into Tableau visualizations that then were used on the ground in Guinea to track the disease and the outbreak. And that project was, we made the grant in a very short amount of time. It was up and running in 10 weeks in Guinea. And primarily because Tableau Zen Masters got involved and actually helped build the visualizations with like tons of volunteer time, along with Slalom Consulting, who also donated a lot of pro bono time to help, which was fantastic.
Very, very cool.
A few months later, I was in San Francisco at the Paul Allen Foundation Social Ebola Innovation Summit.
Yep.
I sat down at a table. This guy across the table looked at me, introduced himself as Ranu Dillon, who at the time was an advisor to the president of Guinea.
Okay.
And he did some mad typing on his computer, spun it around, and he said, here are the visualizations that Tableau Foundation has helped us get. They were just updated in real time for people on the ground in Guinea. And he said, I want you to know that your grant in Guinea has saved lives and had a tremendous impact. And that was just like mind-blowing, right?
Right. Actually, your software, it's not just increasing profit, it's actually saving lives.
Yeah, and for being in our first year of grant making to have outcomes like that so quickly was really rewarding. So we actually just committed a little over $910,000 in software services and training to expand that project from Guinea throughout to Liberia and Sierra Leone.
Got it. And it seems like just by definition, your folks, the Zen Masters and the folks of the community, they just enjoy helping. Right?
They do.
So that's got to try to make your job a little easier. Do you have for every hour that somebody from the company gives, is it like I could imagine it's probably a multiplier, right? There's probably 3 or 4 hours of actually Zen Master time that comes into play.
Absolutely. Yeah, cool. It's been fantastic. We, as I said earlier, we're an employee-driven foundation, so the goal was to embed service and giving into the culture of the company. And what we've learned is actually this culture of service and giving is something that the entire global Tableau community really embodies. Right. So here at the conference this week, we've been telling customers about the Tableau for Nonprofits program as well as Tableau Service Corps. Okay. And we've been signing customers up to actually join the Service Corps. So our vision is over the next couple of years that with a combination of employees, customers, and partners, we'll build this really beautiful global ecosystem of Tableau enthusiasts who are volunteering to help nonprofits all over the world use and get value out of Tableau for whatever issue area they're working on.
That is very cool.
It's great.
And so both here at the conference, you've got obviously 10,000 people here. Yeah. About a few hundred who are watching our broadcast right now. How can these people here at the conference get involved? And then even after the conference, how can users come on and help donate time to these causes?
Oh, great question. If they're here at the conference, they can come to the Tableau Foundation booth, which is in the conference center on the first floor. Every attendee's badge has a QR code on it, and so if they're interested in joining the Tableau Service Corps, we'll zap their QR code and we'll get back to them with the next steps. They can also go to the Tableau Foundation website, which is tablaufoundation.org.
Okay.
And we have information on all of these programs where they can read about them, and then if they're interested, they can sign up.
Cool. And do you have an idea of how many different programs are on there? I know it's a tough question to answer.
We have, we list right now, I think, 6 different programs. So employee service and giving, community grant making, mission grants, Tableau Service Corps, and Tableau for nonprofits. And then next year, we've made some early investments in disaster response and humanitarian crisis response. Next year, we're going to make some bigger investments there and take that really to the next level.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's say, I'm sure that a few folks at nonprofits are watching right now and they're thinking, this is really cool.
Yeah.
You just gave me the information to get signed up for it. What are some common things that you can tell them to prepare for? Like what, let's say I'm a small nonprofit, 5 to 12 people. I don't have any data specialists. I've been collecting all this data. I know I've got it somewhere. What are some of the steps I can take so that when your folks hit the ground and when the software arrives at me, I can be ready to go and I can start running with it?
It's a great question. I would recommend that they at least have the data they want to use on hand, even if that's in a series of Excel spreadsheets. We always advise nonprofits, organizations in general, that the best thing to do is just get started. So don't wait for the data to be perfect. Don't wait for all the data to be there. But take the data they have. We can help the nonprofit actually get that data. A lot of times it's in Excel for small nonprofits.
Okay.
So we can help them take it from Excel into Tableau, and then they just iterate and build from there. So that's been one of the most successful ways of going about starting, a journey with Tableau.
Got it. And do you see common data sources or common systems at play? Obviously, you mentioned Excel. I'm sure the whole, Microsoft suite is represented.
Yep.
Are there other systems that you see at nonprofits that you integrate with and that you can give folks assurance, yes, we'll be able to talk to that data source?
Mostly Excel and CSV. Okay. We have some people that we're helping with Blackbaud. It's a little bit harder.
What is Blackbaud?
Blackbaud's a CRM system mostly used by large nonprofits.
Okay.
It's called Razor's Edge. And that's a little more difficult to get data out, but we have some partners that can help them with that. And we do a lot of mapping where organizations have GIS data that they need help mapping. Those are a couple of examples, but we tend to find that actually Excel or any number of kind of smaller donor management systems are most common. And those are pretty easy to get data out of, either directly or by exporting the data to Excel.
Cool.
Getting it in.
And when you said mapping and GIS, I just remembered the example from yesterday's keynote where they were talking about how mapping is such a big thing and it supports all that. So there's that feature. What are some other specific for nonprofits features that you were looking at during the keynote and saying, wow, that's really going to help our folks out a lot?
Tableau is so versatile as a tool that what we see the same variety and uses that we see with corporate customers.
Sure.
Mapping is, we found mapping to be particularly helpful in crisis response. Yesterday, Tableau Foundation and an international organization called PATH out of Seattle.
Okay.
We launched a 5-year malaria campaign called Visualize No Malaria. And it's a 5-year campaign. We've committed $100,000 a year for 5 years to help PATH help eliminate malaria starting in Zambia. Cool. And we invited our corporate customers to join us in that 5-year campaign. And mapping is really critical there so they can actually identify the locations where malaria is either the burden of disease in a particular village is either high or low. Okay. And then they can actually target the right resources to those locations based on what the needs are. And it helps them be a lot more efficient and effective in stamping out the disease.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you find, so obviously I'm in Silicon Valley a lot, and the Google car is driving around everywhere down there. I think every time somebody plants a new bush in their front yard, it shows up on Google Maps.
My dad's in a Google map.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
In a Google, yes.
Immortalized forever until the next car comes by.
Yeah.
So do you find the level of mapping granularity and refreshes and stuff in the areas, I mean, your folks are in those areas where the Google cars are not coming through that frequently. Is that a challenge for you guys? And
it can be challenging. It's especially sort of in these low resource areas where the infrastructure and the data just isn't there. I remember during the Ebola crisis that OpenStreetMaps was a platform that people from all over the world contributed to help map roads and other things in West Africa.
Okay.
And then there were groups that were using those maps to show roads that were open and closed and route response vehicles the right way and that kind of thing. And that's one thing that in our humanitarian crisis work that we plan to do next year is identify opportunities for pre-staging a lot of that data. So particularly in areas that have frequent disasters.
Cool.
So that when a disaster strikes, more of the data is readily available and can be assembled and visualized in Tableau more quickly so that the first responders can actually more quickly and efficiently save lives and alleviate suffering and do what they need to do on the ground.
That's very, very cool stuff.
Yeah,
Are there any sessions specifically around the not-for-profit, the Service Corps, Tableau Foundation that are going on that you'd like to let our viewers know about?
Yeah, they're over by now.
Oh, okay, well that's fine. They can go back and review the videos.
Yeah, we actually had Peter Jilks, Nelson Davis, and John Mathis from the Ebola Project in Guinea.
Got it.
And they did a session yesterday called Fighting Ebola with Data.
Yep.
It was fantastic. And then today, just finishing right now, actually, is a session by Crochet Kids.
Okay.
And
they were in the keynote?
They were in the keynote. What I love about the Crochet Kids story is they're a very small nonprofit that do an excellent job using data. And so what they do is they dispel the myth that using data is something only for big governments or big nonprofits or big organizations. They serve about 200 women in Peru and Uganda. They collect 40 some odd outcome measurements for those women.
Okay.
And through their program, which can last a few years, they track all of these measurements. And then based on the data, they can actually tell when a woman is ready to graduate from the program.
Very cool.
And they're fantastic. And I know Adam Thompson, who's speaking today, actually wrote an ebook about how they use data. And I know his approach is keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it, just get started. And he gives some really good tips for small organizations who want to start using data to be more effective. And I think the ebook can be found on the Crochet Kids website.
Cool, very, very cool. A lot of data about non-for-profit that you've given us. Thank you so much.
You're
Neal,
welcome.
Myrick.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right.